Okay, our next project is pretty complicated actually, guys. So I've actually pre-built it. Don't worry about this end of the board, that's just sitting there. And we're going to use some if statements later on to make the LED go on. But anyway, that's another part of our project work. So what we've got here, this is actually a potentiometer. Now, a potentiometer, if we haven't spoken about it in class, is a way to increase or decrease the resistance in a circuit, and it's got a dial. You could put a plastic knob on there, I guess, but if you turn it one way, the resistance increases, and if you turn it the other way, the resistance decreases. So a potentiometer is what we've got. They don't all look like this. They can be different sort of shapes and sizes and so on. And it's really got two resistors built between these two sets of pins here, all right? That obviously decrease or increase depending on which way you are turning the control knob here. All right. The hard thing to do is to put it into the board, though. I found I originally started trying to actually set it out here and then have some jumper pins to go into the board. That didn't work too well. So as you can see, the final setup I used was actually putting it straight into the board. So what we've actually got are 3 pins here. I found that it has to be in a little bit from the edge of the board because I need to get access to the middle pin along that rail. So I've got how to put it in a little bit. So it's not that easy, but you sort of got to force it into the board, okay? Something like that. And usually it goes okay. Now, what we're going to be looking at to do with this basically is we're going to be using what's called an analogRead function. So we want to output back to the Arduino, we want to output the voltage change in the circuit. That's what we want to actually do. And we're changing the voltage by changing the resistance, if that makes any sense. All right, so here's how it works. And hopefully you can see some of this, all right? The first thing is, and I should probably start with that, is that over here, I've got the 5-volt input, okay, on our Arduino. So I've gone straight to the 5-volt input. That's coming in, I should get a pen. That's coming in over here to anywhere, but it's just coming through this rail here. You'll notice that on one side of the potentiometer, so what I'm doing is I'm plugging that input to that side of the potentiometer, okay? Then, on the other side, on this pin here, that pin, the white goes out. So I've got this pin connected with the 5-volt in, that pin is coming out, and then this pin here is going over to ground, okay? So I'll show you. Maybe you can't see it, but you can see that it goes back to ground, okay, on that. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, now if I flip it around, here's the tricky bit. The middle part of our potentiometer is what we're going to use to actually go to the analogWrite command. So we want to measure the voltage as we change the resistance with the potentiometer. So it's a bit hard to see, but what I had to do was I had to grab a pin, I had to bend it at 90 degrees, something like that, okay? And then I put it into the middle pin of the potentiometer. So if you can imagine, I'm trying to connect to that pin. Then, here's where it gets interesting. All of the A's on our board here, with an A in the front of it, and you can hopefully see that. So what is it, A1 to A5? Or A0 to A5. They are all pins that we can use to actually measure the data coming out and then display it back on the serial output from the Arduino. All right, so basically, not easy. Okay, so we'll see how we go with that. So again, we're going to run the power basically through this pin and this pin of the potentiometer, or that way, it doesn't matter which way we have it. So it's going to come in that way, out that way, that's straightforward. And the middle part of the potentiometer is going to go over to one of the A1 or A0 or A5 pins, doesn't matter what, and that's going to be our output. And then we're going to actually learn how to code for that. That's another level again. All right, I hope that was helpful.